Blog Talk Radio.
Coming up next, please join former investigative news reporter Kristen White as she uses a powerful combination of her journalistic training and her intuitive skills to uncover all aspects of the spirit world. From the mystical to the mundane, no topic is taboo. Kristen will interview your spirit guides, explore your past lives to delve into the truth behind all these mysteries. Collecting the latest news from both the experts and at home, she will help you connect to the information you need to live your ultimate life starting today. And now, reporting live from the universe, here's Kristen White.
Hello, I'm Kristen White. Thanks for joining me here today on Vivid Life Radio. We come to you live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And my guest today has a topic that I'm sure is front and center on our minds as we are moving into this holiday season. We're right here at the beginning of the month of November, and ahead is just a massive eating fest of Thanksgiving and then going through the holiday seasons. So our guest today is going to talk to us about change your body, change your life, one bite at a time. Her name is Roslyn Franken. She was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 29. Roslyn Franken fought back to become a long-term survivor. Then, 10 years later, at her heaviest weight ever, and concerned for her health once again, she decided to fight back again, only this time to overcome her battles with food, weight, and lifestyle challenges once and for all. She's the author of the A-List, 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living, and also the founder of the A-List Weight Loss Program and the host of How to Thrive After 35 Talk Radio. She has a master's in human systems intervention from Concordia University in Montreal and is a certified coach through the Professional School of Psychology in California. So, Roslyn Franken, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
So, you, in your book, The A-List, the 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living, where do we start?
Where do we start? Well, you know what? It's 9 principles, and they all start with the letter A. That's why it's called the A-List. And what these principles do is it walks you through a change management process. Because to have successful, lasting change in your health and your body and your life, it really comes to lasting change in habits. So where it starts with is the first principle is really all about A for ambition. And ambition has to do with how bad do you want that change? How important is it to you? Why do you want to create a change in your body, in your life? So that is really a starting point, is really determining what your level of desire is, because no change is going to happen unless you have that strong desire for it. Because change is sometimes people think of it almost as a 4-letter word, right? We avoid it at all costs. And for true change to happen, it's almost as if not doing something to change things is actually more painful than doing what you need to do to make the change. So really determining your level of ambition is a huge, huge, huge first step for people, really to get inside themselves to find out, how ready are they to make this change.
You raise such a valid point that I don't know what it is in human nature that we have to get ourselves to, I guess, the bottom, or that point where the pain exceeds, or the gain exceeds the pain, where we really we can't take that space that we're in a moment longer. We say, I'm committed, I'm motivated to finally dig in and work towards this goal in my life.
Oh, that's exactly, I love the way you put that. The gain exceeds the pain. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And people's fear of doing what they need to do to get rid of that pain
yeah.
and have the gain, but of course not in their weight. That's where I love going with people, is to overcome that fear and to recognize that even the most successful people out there in whatever they're successful at, they face fears, they face self-doubts, they face the same insecurities as anybody else, but they don't allow those things to stop them. they just keep going after what they want regardless of those things, because they know that what they want in the end is going to be worth dealing with all that other stuff.
Weight is an interesting thing. I mean, I know even in my own experience, I've always been like a naturally thin, active person. But after I had 3 children, I suddenly found myself 50 pounds heavier. Like, it just crept up on me. I think that, we pay attention to, especially as women, but this also pertains to men, we pay a lot of attention to other people's needs, desires, answering their 911 calls in emergencies in life, and we don't really think about ourselves. We're almost numb to our bodies. And we wake up one day and we look in the mirror or stand on a scale or go to try on something. We're like, what in the world happened? I know I had like a yoga pant wardrobe. And so, I never really knew when they weren't really fitting anymore. I always thought, oh, that's just the dryer. But, it actually wasn't. It was that I was gaining this weight. And what's your advice or guidance for women who were always such caregivers, but we have a hard time taking care of ourselves, especially in this category?
Well, let me tell you what happened to me, and then I'll explain that. So what happened to me is, at the age of 39, I literally got on the scale one day and looked at this number staring back at me and thought, oh my God, I am 39, about to turn 40. I'm at my heaviest weight ever. And my mom had just passed away from cancer a few months before. There's heart disease on my dad's side of the family. I had cancer when I was 29, so 10 years earlier. I'd already lost my health. So I'm standing there on the scale, heavier than ever, a very smart, intelligent, good person. And I'm going, this makes no sense. It makes no sense. How much more weight do I have to gain before I do something about it? What else needs to happen to kick me into action, to finally take control of my health and weight, and not about going on another diet, not again looking for some quick fix solution that's not going to last. I wanted to do this once and for all. It was this one thing that was just holding me back from being the best person that I could be. So women who are not paying attention to themselves, who are not putting their own health as their priority, and think that they want to be there for everybody else, they want to be the nurturer, the caregiver, and that's their natural tendency. The problem with that mindset is, if they continue down a path of not paying attention to their own health and they lose their health, then they're not only going to not be good to themselves, they're not going to be able to be there for all those other people. And it's detrimental that they wake up and say, wait a second here, I need to be there. I need to be there for me. I was talking with a lady the other day. She went through the war, World War II, and she was talking about being in a prison camp. And she said that one of the things that she learned from that experience is to always take time for herself. And her daughter was actually giving a little presentation and saying what she learned from her mom in that experience. Growing up, she said her mom would always take time for herself, and sometimes she'd want to go to her mom and get her mom's attention, and mother would always say, sorry, sweetheart, you'll have to come to me later. Mom is resting right now. This is mommy time. And the kids had to learn that. And growing up, sometimes they found it, difficult because they wanted mom, and they wanted mom now. And now that this girl is a mom herself, she goes, I so get it now. And what happened was, because in these prison camps with this mother, how she learned this lesson was, she saw how many mothers would, whenever there was food available or something available, they would always take care of their kids first, and they would never feed themselves, and then they would get sick and often die, and then these kids were left without a mom. So, I mean, that's a very extreme example perhaps, but that's how she took that lesson away, to say to really bring that point home, is that you got to look after yourself. It's like when you take the airplane and they tell you when that oxygen mask comes down, you make sure you put it on yourself first before anybody else.
What a powerful example, though. I mean, it is really, actually I think it's accurate that we always are, especially as women, we take care of everything else around us, and then we end up, maybe today we don't, die from starvation, but we can have severe health impairments, autoimmune diseases, cancer. I mean, those things are very real threats when you take no time to care for yourself, when you become that selfless servant to the world around you and not to yourself.
Well, and the thing is, I think, especially as women, we are conditioned to believe that taking time for ourselves means we are selfish. And there's this word, this connotation around the word selfish that it's bad, it's not right. I'm supposed to be there for everybody else. And the message that you're really saying when you're doing this to yourself, and this is one of the many attitudes I talk about in my book and in my coaching programs, is people who are those overly people pleasers, those overly nurturers. What the message you're saying to yourself is that the other people's happiness is more important than yours. And it is putting yourself and your own self-worth in you're kind of like at the bottom of the totem pole. And my statement is why? Why would your needs, your desires, your wants be any less important than anybody else? I'm not saying you're more important, but you're at least equally important as anybody else. So that martyrism that we feel we have to have, like with the holiday season coming up, you talk to a lot of women and you say, how's it going? And they say, oh, my God, I got to do all this gift buying, and did you get all your Christmas baking done? Did you get all your baking done? And there's this pressure and this feeling like they have to do it all themselves, and then come Christmas Eve they're exhausted. But as long as everybody else is okay and taken care of, there's this feeling like you have to do it all yourself. And then, of course, because you're dealing with all the stress and the extra pressure, a lot of women, how do they cope with stress and pressure? Is they eat. That's their way of medicating themselves to numb the anxiety that they're putting on themselves for trying to get everything done on their endless to-do list. So a lot of what I talk about is how do you minimize self-inflicted stress? Because stress, negative stress, especially the type that we have control over, it steals away the positive energy that you need in order to thrive in your life, and you're allowing it to happen. And the amazing thing is so many of us, we don't even know what it is we're doing. So with my coaching and my book and helping people to, putting a mirror in their face to say, this is what you're doing, and then they go, oh, my God, I had no idea I was doing that. And for any change to happen, if there's anything you want to change in your life, whether it's your weight or anything else, if you're not aware of the habits that you're doing in your thinking, in your behaviors, you can't possibly change it. And you can't possibly become aware of these things if you don't take a step back every now and again and give yourself permission to actually look at what you're doing. And a lot of women are so busy serving other people because as long as they're focused on everybody else, they don't have to look at themselves. So one of the biggest gifts you can give yourself this season is the gift of health and the gift of doing something for you to improve your health. That, to me, is the ultimate.
Absolutely. And I love your title, The A-List, 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living, because the two do go hand in hand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you start to take control of one area of your life, so let's say weight is an issue, or maybe you don't have you're not overweight, but your eating habits are atrocious, and you're still up for as many health risks as somebody who's overweight sometimes. If eating, health, lifestyle, those are things that you need to make positive changes, you need to take that step back. You absolutely need to take that step back and look at the things that you're doing. Absolutely. And how it works with positive living is if you are working at controlling what you're eating and you start to eat better, for example, if you're somebody who just loves sugar, just loves desserts, loves sugar, I've had clients where they just work on that one thing, minimizing the sugar, like just slowly, eating less and less sugar, they start feeling better. And when you start feeling better, so they're having less headaches, less stomach problems, they're sleeping better. When you're sleeping better and you're feeling better and you have more energy, it's going to be easier to be more motivated to do exercise, to improve your relationships, to make better life choices because you're thinking more clearly. So one thing has a ripple effect on the other. So, just choosing one thing to work on will actually help you in all areas. I'm always amazed when people, come to me with their issue is about weight, their physical weight. But then they find as they start taking control of their health and their weight and the choices they're making for their lifestyle habits, all of a sudden their relationships are improving, they're having more success in their careers or in their business. And I'm going, because it's all connected. It's all connected. So it really is what I call it's an inside job. When people are struggling with weight, they're so focused on that number on the scale, and they're so focused just about the food, but it's so much more than just about the food. It's not just about, what I say is, it's not just about the food you feed your body, it's the thoughts you feed your mind, and it's the emotions you feed your soul. It's all connected. And when people wake up to that, it can make a world of, just waking up to that is going to release weight, because then you go like, oh, so it's not just about the food. It's so much more.
Well, I believe that a lot of both men and women today, we tend to micromanage. So we will focus on the small things and trying to control those areas. And I like how you pointed out that when we can pull ourselves back from micromanaging or kind of fire our inner control freak, then it allows us to see how we are out of control in our life. Most of the time when we're trying to control everyone around us, whether it's our children or our spouses or, in our work environment, we don't realize that we're the one that's out of control.
Well, when you say that, it just makes me think like when people talk about relationships with other people, right? What do you expect? What do you want from other people? We talk about, what is a healthy relationship? Well, there's got to be trust and effective communication. There's got to be compassion, understanding, kindness, all these things, right? But your relationship with yourself is the most personal, important relationship you could have. Yet how many of those elements that we seek in relationships with other people, how many of those things do we have within ourselves? How much do we trust ourselves? How much do we listen to ourselves? How much compassion and kindness and forgiving do we show ourselves? And I'm telling you, most people I talk to fall short on that level. And until you start looking at that relationship that you have with yourself, things aren't going to always happen the way you want them to with relationships with other people or in other areas of your life. So to me, if there is an unhealthy relationship with your inner self, an unhealthy relationship with food and your body, that is the core. That is the core that needs to be looked at. Absolutely.
Roslyn, you have a very interesting background in your family. You have a mother who survived the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, and you have a father who survived the Japanese slave labor camps as a prisoner of war.
Yes.
So you have two parents and two different experiences around the globe. How has this helped mold your understanding in a way that you're able to help other people?
When I was first diagnosed with cancer, I had the choice of how I was going to deal with that, right? I could have got sucked into the world of fear and anxiety and stress, and I mean, of course, it's numbing when the doctor tells you that. You're just sitting there going, what? Especially at the age of 29. And I know other people who went down that path. They just let it take over their life in a negative way. But because of what my parents have gone through, I mean, talk about role models. My mother, she was diagnosed with cancer in 1983. So here she is. She's, at 14, lost both her parents, two brothers and a sister in the concentration camps, came through that. Doctor tells her she has cancer at age 57. She basically said to the doctor, she said, Hitler didn't get me, my cancer won't get me. I have too much to live for. She was just like, not a chance. And I thought, for God's sakes, if after everything that my mom went through and what she's gone through and how she has been able to fight this, I can get through this. I will get through this. And so I turned my fear into fight. I really did. And I said, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to go from victim to victory. I will beat this. I didn't go through the war. I didn't, we have it so good in North America here. I think sometimes we don't always appreciate the good things. There's so many things that we can complain about for sure, but we also have it pretty good when I think of, what my parents went through. So I think the gratitude and the appreciation I have for the quality of life that I have also comes from knowing what they have gone through. But my mom when she was diagnosed, she was given 2 years tops to live in 1983, and she passed away in 2004, 21 years later. So I think there's something to be said for that positive mental attitude and fighting off the negative emotions, because they're going to come. They're going to come. I think it's only natural for them to come, but do you wallow in it? Do you let it to take over, or do you find and build that resiliency muscle that we all have and build that to a point where you say, I'm going to rise above this. I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. And to me, an attitude like that will carry you through anything.
It sounds like that is where your first principle came from, ambition. Your mother was quite ambitious about her plan for her life versus what something outside of her said that was going to be her fate. I find that so interesting that that doctors even do that today. They give us a set time, a prediction of our moment to leave the planet, and so often they really are wrong. But people think that that's their hourglass, and they get really caught up in that. And what I've learned from all of my spiritual practice and working with so many clients, that our own souls decide when we're ready to go, and it doesn't matter what anything outside of us predicts. It really is in the end up to us, and we can bounce back from the deepest depths of despair by simply our own willingness and intention to do so.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy. But it's how do you find that courage within? How do you find that determination within? And that is a mindset that can be developed. It can be developed, and sometimes people are in situations, and maybe some of the listeners are listening and they're going, but I've got this going on and I've got that going. Yeah, it's easier for her to say. But, when you're in the situation, sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees. And that's why one of the things I talk about in my book, and one of the lessons I learned through my own cancer experience, is how do you give yourself the gift of reaching out for help? And I believe that people who are truly resilient and do pull themselves out of situations are the kind of people who understand that reaching out for help and for support is not a sign of shame or weakness. There's no shame in needing somebody to help you take the blinders off, to get out of the tunnel vision that you might be in, because sometimes it's just one new perspective that totally shifts how you see things, and it can be so powerful, but you weren't able to see it on your own. And for me, like when I have somebody that I've helped them have a breakthrough, like I'm not doing it for them. I'm just facilitating a process for them to have that on their own. And it's like, wow, it can be, it's amazing. It's amazing to have a breakthrough that allows you to break free from whatever it is that's holding you back from doing what you really want to do and having what you really want to have, because life's too short to not go for it.
And you raise an important point, too, Roslyn, that it can be so powerful to work with another person as a coach or a mentor. I mean, I am a coach myself. You're a coach. I know that even for myself, when I am working through something, and we're all always working through things, oftentimes it's that other individual who can be such a powerful conduit to help us be able to see something that maybe was just it was right there, but we weren't able to extract it. Right. And when we have someone there to help us facilitate that awareness, it's like, I call it the big click, like everything just kind of clicks into place. And I know you said before we started the show that you have a wonderful opportunity right around the corner for people to plug into your weight loss program. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, the next one starts November the 9th, so definitely right around the corner, and it is the perfect timing to join in this program because of the holiday season coming up, so that you're not come January crying what I call the post-holiday weight gain blues, right? Which so many of us do. So November 9th is the next starting date. It's a 9-week program. So these are 9 weeks where every week you get onto a teleconference call. It's all done by telephone, so it doesn't matter where you live. You can participate in this. And it's Tuesday nights from 8 till 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's a small group. I keep the group small so that we can have these amazing dialogues. So it's not just me talking. It's not I don't sit there saying eat this, don't eat that. It's really discovering how to take these principles from my book and apply them to your life. A lot of people buy a book, they get excited at an event and they buy a book, and then that book becomes what I call more shelf help than self-help. It sits on the shelf and it's I'll get to it. This is a program that will give you the guidance and help you actually take the book, work the book, use it, understand how to use it, and so that it doesn't just sit there on the shelf. So it's the weekly support, the guidance, the coaching, the accountability. That is one of the biggest things that people miss out on when they're trying to do everything on their own, is that accountability. So it's not just the phone calls that you get. You also get the recordings of the calls. So if you have to miss a call or you get on a call late or have to leave early, life happens, right? So you have the recordings that you could download to your computer, so you have them forever. You can go back to them over and over when you need them. It includes a copy of my book. I also have my book as an audio program. It's a 7-CD set with also a resource CD that has the recipes from my book, all the coaching questions that are in a workbook format in the book. You have them electronically, which is amazing because then you can go back over and over and answer them, because it's amazing how people say, boy, when I answered those questions 3 months, 6 months later, that sure looked a lot different than the first time I filled them out, right? So you can actually see yourself transforming by how you answer these questions. And the breakthroughs, the aha moments that go on these calls are so powerful. So powerful. The comments that people who've done every diet, who've read the books, who've done the programs, who've even gone for weight loss therapy sometimes, and here they are on these calls, not just gaining from me, but also from the other people on the call, right? It's so powerful to know sometimes that, wow, I'm not the only one who feels this way. To learn from other people and listening, it's a phenomenal program. It really is, and I don't know of anything else like it. There might be something else like it out there, but I don't know anything else out there like it that's facilitated, that's delivered by somebody who's been there. I say been there, done that, wrote the book, and it's just really powerful, and I invite your listeners to go to my website and check it out. Give me a call. We can talk about it. If it's something you want to do, I can help make that happen for you.
And what is the website?
The easiest website to go to is the alistweightlossprogram.com.
Perfect. So on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Roslyn Franken.
Join Vivid Life, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Don Miguel Ruiz, Greg Braden, Byron Katie, Doreen Virtue, James Von Prague, and more at Celebrate Your Life, a powerful life-changing event, November 5th to 8th in Phoenix, Arizona. For more information, please go to vividlife.me. Moms of the world unite. Pile in the minivan with Jenna Sinclair as she takes you on an uplifting and hilarious journey from materialism to enlightenment. You've heard of or currently use the law of attraction in your daily life. Now experience it from another mom's perspective as we embark on an odyssey of accidental spiritual growth, making sure we have plenty of fun along the way. Mystic in a Minivan by Kristen White. For more information or to purchase a copy of Mystic in a Minivan, go to vividlife.me. VividLife.me, the world's ultimate life resource. Vivid Life is an online community of conscious-minded, visionary individuals and businesses who are interested in personal growth, spirituality, conscious living, environmental conservation and protection, and working toward being the absolute best that we can be. VividLife.me.
We're back, and you're listening to Reporting Live from the Universe with Kristen White, and I'm your host, Kristen White. Today, our guest is Roslyn Franken. She's the author of The A-List, The 9 Guiding Principles for Healthy Eating and Positive Living. So, Roslyn, again, welcome back. Can you tell us a little bit more about the guiding principles? I know we got through number 1 so far.
Oh, yes. I mean, it's a lot to go through each of them, but for sure. I mean, ambition is the starting point. Is really the starting point. You need to make sure what needs to happen to get your ambition level where it needs to be in order to go to the next step, I guess you could say. Attitudes is a huge, huge part of my process. I've identified 10 different attitudes that people have that often keeps them stuck, that really keeps them, not just keeps them stuck, but puts on incredible weight on their minds, on their shoulders, on their bodies, just because it's what I call self-inflicted. They absolutely create it themselves. So to give you an example of that, one of the bigger ones is perfectionism. Especially people who are trying to lose weight, they get into this perfectionist mode. It's this all or nothing thinking like, okay, that's it. No more carbs, or no more sugar, or I'm not going to eat this, or I'm going to exercise every night this week, and it's going to be this way, and it's going to be that way. And the second they do anything that falls short of that expectation of themselves, of what they set out to do, what happens is, oh, I cheated. Oh, I'm a failure. I can't do anything. They beat up on themselves for not being able to accomplish what they set out to do, which may have not been overly realistic to begin with. And what do they do to feel better is they eat. And it just perpetuates this unhealthy cycle, not just in their eating, but in their thinking and their self-esteem, and it's just detrimental. So perfectionism is a huge one. I also help people with A for attainability, so about how to set goals and achieve goals realistically. That's a huge one for people, is they really get this mindset of like, I have to do this by such and such a date. And typical goal setting is like that. You have to visualize and set that date and, make it so. But that, too, especially if you're a perfectionist, can set you up for failure, because if, my golly, you don't meet that goal by that date, what then? Do you celebrate the success that you did manage to achieve, or all you see is like, oh, my God, I didn't do it again. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. It's very, very, very negative. Very negative.
I remember that because when I lost about 45, almost 50 pounds a couple years ago, about 5 years ago, and I remember that kindness to myself, where I kind of give myself a hall pass, was what helped me do it. There were definitely days where I was like, I just can't be in this space, because you really do change your patterns and what you eat and what you allow, into your body. And we do have bad habits. I had bad eating habits with just small kids and kind of a carb junkie. And, occasionally I would fall off the wagon. I'd say, well, I'll just pick it back up tomorrow. And that enabled me to keep going and to push through, the 1 or 2 times, and it was probably more like 10 times that I wasn't able to, maintain that perfection. So what an important thing to point out for people who are on this journey.
It is so huge, and as the topic for the show was, change your body, change your life one bite at a time. We tend to sometimes think, if at 10 o'clock in the morning you had something that you think, oh, I shouldn't have had that, and then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon you're thinking, oh, well, I had that cookie this morning, I may as well just have this, that, or the other thing. I'll start again tomorrow. And I'm like, you know what? Why tomorrow? Why not the very next time you're about to put something in your mouth, you have another opportunity to make a better choice? It doesn't have to be the next day. It's one bite at a time. And some days are going to be easier than others. Some bites are going to be better choices than others. But bottom line is, it comes down, it's one bite at a time. And that's not just for what you eat. It goes for everything in life. Everything you're trying to do, it's one step at a time, one bite at a time. The pressure to try and do everything right all the time is way, way too much. It's way too much for anybody to bear, especially these days when we're trying to cram in so much every day. That expectation, sometimes it's so high, and when we can't meet it, we beat up on ourselves, and it just hurts us in every way. It's just such an unhealthy, unhappy way to live, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Oh, I'm so glad. So what are some of the other principles that some of our listeners might be able to just start even thinking about in their lives right now?
Well, another awareness. Awareness is a huge one. It's food awareness and self-awareness. I teach people how to become what I call a consistent, conscious choice maker. So it's not just, when it's convenient for you or when it feels right. It's how to do it as often as possible where you are making choices consistently. Again, not just about the food you feed your body. It could be, when you're having conversations with people in your family or in the workplace, like being conscious of what's about to come out of your mouth, because afterwards sometimes it's hard to take back. The same way with food. It's very easy to become aware after and go like, oh my God, did I just finish that whole bowl of chips? Right? But if you can sort of flip it around and have some more awareness going into a situation, you just might make a better choice. At least you're doing it consciously. Another one is activity. A lot of people don't want to talk about that when it comes to weight loss because they go, oh, my God, I can't be active. Oh, I can never get into an exercise routine. I have no time. I'm too tired. I'm too lazy. I don't like sweating. I've heard it all. And we call them reasons. I dare say that, you know what, they're often excuses, and there are ways to overcome these things. That was one of the biggest battles I had. I mean, aside from changing my eating habits, was I'm just not by nature one of these exercise, physically active-oriented people. I think some people are just like almost like born that way. They, where I live in Ottawa, Canada, there's people who go, oh my God, I can't wait for the snow to come. I get to go skiing and snowshoeing, and I get to skate on the canal, and then when summer comes, I can't wait to go kayaking, and those things don't really enter my mind. Like, that's just not my natural way.
I so hear you on that one, sister.
I'm sure a lot of listeners can relate to that. So how does someone like me learn to incorporate regular physical activity into your life? And I'm telling you, if somebody would have told me, 10 years ago that I would be doing what I do now, I would have laughed my head off because it was so far off the radar. So it can be done. Change is possible, and the sooner people embrace that belief, the sooner they're going to be able to create the change that they so desire and that they so deserve, and just giving themselves permission to do it. So activity is a whole area that I address. Another one.
I do want to hear a little bit more about that activity before you go to the next one. So,
okay.
Because where do people really start with that? Like, if you haven't been active for a long time and you want to get started, I think that's a big block for people to, to get up and get moving. What do you recommend for just like a starting point?
Put on some running shoes. Sometimes just putting on the shoes is a first step. I know that sounds funny, but sometimes it's like, when people think about exercise, they go, oh, I got to put on my shoes. I got to, put on the outfit. I got to, get out there. I got to do it. And I say, you know what, just put on the shoes. Whether you walk, I don't care if they go out and walk for 10 minutes. I don't care if they walk around the block once, because that for some people that's more than they've done in the last 3 years. Just do something. It could be just putting on some music and dancing, just sort of letting loose. It doesn't have to be right off the bat joining the gym, committing to, I'm going to work out for an hour every day, I'm going to hire a personal trainer, I'm going to do this. It doesn't have to be that overwhelming, because I think that's what happens. People feel overwhelmed by the thought of it, of what it's going to involve. Another thing is people get so caught up thinking about, well, what are all the things I could be doing instead of exercising, right? Like, so that, like, what am I sacrificing in order to take this time to do this? And I always say, you got to start thinking it's not about what you're sacrificing, it's about what you're going to gain from taking the time to do it, giving yourself the gift of time. So the person who starts by just committing to saying, okay, I'm going to do that first 10, I'm going to put on running shoes, and I'm going to go for a 10-minute walk. 10 minutes, it's manageable, it's doable, and once you've done it, and you've given yourself that time to do it, and you committed to it, and you actually did it, there's a sense of accomplishment, there's a sense of success, and that success will breed other success. It will motivate you to do more. You don't have to jump into, a full-out routine right away. You can take it really slow and be kind to yourself and do what feels right for you. Finding an activity that you think you can do and stick to. But you're not going to know that until you actually try different things. Be open-minded. These are all first steps that need to happen. And carving out the time to do it, looking at what your excuses are, and this is what I do with people, is I challenge them on every excuse that they have, because they really are excuses, and how do you overcome them?
Absolutely. I love that. Put on your running shoes. I think for myself, I've been able to keep the weight off, but I'm busy in my life, and it seems like, oh boy, if I change my clothes and then I'm going to get all sweaty, and do I want to do it in the morning? You know what I mean? It's like finding that time in the day, because it feels like 2 whole hours, by the time you get dressed, get there, cleaned up. And I think what I'm hearing you say is it doesn't have to even be that long, maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes, but if you do it consistently, that can also make a difference too.
Absolutely. And you know what I say to people who say they don't have time? Because that was always my biggest excuse. I say, you know what? If you went to the doctor tomorrow and the doctor told you that you have some major illness and the only thing that's going to cure it is that you need to do these exercise, you need to work out, 30 minutes every day, let's just say, and this is your only hope to live, would you find the time? Most people are going to say yes. I said, if somebody said, I'm going to pay you $10,000 a month, and all you need to do is find a half an hour 3 times a week, let's say, to exercise, would you find the time? Most people are like, oh, yeah.
The interesting thing about that is, there are studies out there that say that if you're fit, your income goes up. So in essence, if you did exercise a half hour a day, you could, in essence, be paying yourself $10,000 more because of that aspect that's been proven in studies.
Right. And why is that? It's because people who exercise, it's not just, again, about the number on the scale, but you feel better, you have more energy, you have more confidence, you feel more in control because you're taking control of your health. It helps for people who have depression or mood disorders. It has so many more benefits other than just, weight loss. So, if you're looking for a job, for example, and you're not taking care of yourself, you're not exercising, you don't have good energy, you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping well, do you not think that when you walk into that job interview, it's going to come out? It may not come out in your words. You may be able to put on a smiley face, but there's going to be this energy that's missing, that somebody else who's in great shape is going to walk in and who has confidence and has energy. They're going to come in. They're going to present themselves and give off a totally different energy than you are. So you're already putting yourself behind the 8 ball. So just taking care of yourself, if it can help you have better energy and give you more confidence, it's going to help you in everything.
I was with an author this weekend, Barbara DeAngelis. She's written so many books, and she calls that vibrational credibility.
Oh, Barbara, she's so good with words.
Isn't she amazing? And I thought, I love that. I have vibrational credibility, and that's just when you're in that complete alignment, just like you talked about. You don't have to say anything. Like, people are attracted to you, they connect to you because you're in alignment. And that's a really valid point. What other things are on the list for our listeners to consider?
Another one is appreciation. Appreciation is a huge one. We're so good at appreciating other people and showing other people appreciation, not so good for ourselves. And again, I dare say, especially women. So, if you've set a goal for yourself that you've got to lose, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever it might be, and you've set yourself like, well, when I've reached that goal, then I'll do something nice for myself. I'm like, why? Why not celebrate every little success along the way? Why not notice and set some smaller benchmarks and celebrate the successes of the smaller goals that you set for yourself, because that's what's going to motivate you. Having this big looming goal of I've got to lose 50 pounds, 100 pounds, it's daunting. It's daunting. But if you say, you know what, I say to my clients, I say, if you can lose those first 10 pounds without feeling like you're on a diet, without feeling deprived, without feeling guilt, without feeling shame, I said, would that not be something to celebrate? And they're like, oh, yeah. I said, okay, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do to celebrate? And it could be something simple. It could be, buying yourself something like a new piece of clothing. It could be buying yourself some perfume. It could be giving yourself a night off that's all for you, and you take a hot bubble bath and just flake out and just do something to really honor yourself, to celebrate you. And a lot of women have a lot of trouble with that. And when they start doing it, they go like, oh, this feels pretty good.
Absolutely.
So they want to do it again. And so it just motivates them to say, look, okay, I'm going to do this again, so I need to reach my next goal. And so showing yourself appreciation, celebrating your successes. Don't just beat yourself up for the stuff that, didn't go right. Maybe you made some mistakes. Maybe you made some choices that weren't great. But overall, are you doing better than you did before? Hey, that's a good thing. So
absolutely.
And then last one to talk about is A for acceptance. And this is such a huge one because you can go through all of this, but if there's some underlying reason why you're still holding on to the weight, if there's some reason why you want to hold on to the weight that you're not even acknowledging, then that last piece, really accepting that this is the new you, accepting the new you, because a lot of people I deal with who've struggled with weight for so many years, they don't know how to be a smaller person. They don't know how to deal with, the difference maybe that they feel that people are looking at them differently. They don't know how to deal with going into a store and putting on clothes that are single-digit sizes. It's overwhelming, and there's a how do you get comfortable in your new skin? So this is a hugely important process that I help people with because, I have people who've had weight loss surgery, and anybody listening who's had weight loss surgery I'm sure can resonate with this. When you lose the weight so fast, how do you catch up mentally in your own self-image with what's happening physically? So it's so much more than just the physical aspect. We're so focused on the physical appearance and the outward part, and where I love taking people is more on the inside part. Nobody wants to talk about that. People don't talk about that. But the ones who do, the ones who are willing to go there, those are the ones who have the lasting success. Those are the ones who really get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you, again, for people who just might be joining us, you have an opportunity for people to work with you coming up next week. It's this week? Next week.
Next week, November 9th. It's coming up fast, and all the information is on my website at thealistweightlossprogram.com. And it's all the information is there. There's even a little free audio people can download. I have a newsletter that people can sign up for. They can do a free readiness assessment. Such a huge part of this is like, are you ready? Are you ready to do this? And I know that people who join my program or pick up the phone and call me with questions, I know how much it takes just to pick up the phone and do that, or just to even fill out the readiness assessment that I have on the internet. It's a first step. That is, when we say one bite at a time, take the assessment, go to my website, read up on it, give me a call. These are all little steps you take, and then you decide from there. I really only want to work with people who really, really want to have success, where they're, like you said, where they realize that the gain is going to exceed the pain, and they're just like, I'm ready to do this. I need to do this, and that those are the people who join this program and who have the best success. Absolutely.
Boy, I'm actually motivated just by talking to you. It is interesting because I do think that, and we talked about this before we got on the call for the show, that, it is about, you can have success on diets. You can have success on different kinds of trendy things, the Atkins diet or no sugar or no carbs. There's all kinds of things out there that will give you success. But when it comes to maintaining it, in the end, it really boils down to the lifestyle piece. I mean, really, that is the truth. Is if you don't have the healthy mindset and the lifestyle, it's very challenging to maintain the results that you get.
Oh, absolutely. And just now that you mentioned that, it reminds me that people who go through my 9-week program, I do private coaching as well, and so they'll find that on the website too. So I do the group and the private. But people, regardless of whether you do the group program or the private program, something that I offer as a follow-up is something called the A-List Wisdom Circle. And that is a monthly coaching and support call for people who, we're all talking the same language. We're all talking the A-List way. So we're all on the same page, and it's a monthly call to keep people accountable, to keep them in that maintenance piece, to make sure that they continue living those principles. And whatever challenges come up, we can address them because, sometimes life throws you a curveball or something in your lifestyle changes, maybe your routine changes, and then it really comes down to learning what I call the art of adaptability. You've got to be able to move and flow with whatever's going on in your life, so that you're constantly adapting what your eating or exercise habits needs to be. Because sometimes you get into a routine and everything's working tickety-boo, but then something changes. So you have to say, like, okay, if you're struggling to manage that change, then at least you have, I'm still there in your life. It's not like 9 weeks and I'm off the face of the earth.
Yeah, because you may not get those results in 9 weeks.
Oh well, people, in the 9 weeks, people are absolutely, the weight is coming off and they're getting on the path for sure. But you don't solve all the problems of the world in 9 weeks. You've been a certain way your whole life, but the 9 weeks is going to give you that springboard, that foundation that is going to get you into the whole process, because I divide the 9 principles into 3 steps that I call ready, set, go. So the first 3 principles are really about preparing and programming your mindset for change, because that's the first piece that needs to happen, is for people to get their mindset in the right place. So because sometimes there's a lot of baggage that people carry of like, oh my God, I've tried this in the past. Oh, I'm going to try this again. How do I know if it's going to work? I don't know. Do I do it? Do you truly believe that change is possible? So getting your mindset into the right place where you're open to the possibility, where you're starting to understand yourself better and see where you need to work on, what attitudes you need to work on, so that you start this process of letting go of the stuff that's been holding you back. Then the next step is getting set. Now you've got to set up the right habits. You've got to set it up. And then the last piece is now go. How do you go into the future and take all this with you and keep applying it? How do you maintain that mindset? How do you keep it? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay focused? How do you stay on track? How do you pick yourself up when something happens that maybe derails you a bit? How do you do that not, 20, 30 pounds later, but within 5 pounds later, so that you're able to pull yourself back? That's where the power is.
Absolutely. And on that note, it's almost time for us to go as well. So if our listeners would like to sign up for your 9-week program, they need to go to the alistweightlossprogram.com, and all the information and the cost.
All the information is there. They click where it says group coaching, and that'll take them right through to the end where they can pay and sign up. And there's an installment plan, or they can pay in full. They could save a little bit more when they pay in full. And if they have questions, my contact information is right there on every page of the site, pretty much. and they can contact me.
Wonderful. Well, Roslyn Franken, so much information you've given us today, and really empowering. And I encourage anyone who is ready to take on this challenge, especially at this time of year, just like you said. I mean, this is the feast festival where really there's a lot of opportunity to just blow up in terms of our weight. And what a way to be empowered during this time. So
Absolutely, and get that stress down, because it's time not just for eating, but it's the stress that comes with the holiday season, and that whole perfectionism and all those things play into it.
Wouldn't that be wonderful to have reached your New Year's resolution by the time it's New Year's?
Yes. Wow. You see, there's a goal.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's for all you overachievers out there, but. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I really enjoyed it, and I'm sure our listeners did as well. And we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to everyone else, you've been listening to Reporting Live from the Universe with Kristen White here on Vivid Life Radio. We do come to you live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, with leaders in the field of wellness, spirituality, personal growth, and coaching. And for all of you, I am also an intuitive coach, and I work directly with entrepreneurs who are trying to launch into the business of their dreams. So again, thanks for being here, and we will catch you all next week. Reporting live from the universe, I'm Kristen White.
Since 1892, the Sierra Club has been working to protect communities, wild places, and the planet itself. They are the oldest, largest, and most influential grassroots environmental organization in the United States. No matter where they are, whether you are swinging from a zip line in Costa Rica, repairing a trail in New Mexico, or puffing up a switchback in the Cascades, they never forget the Sierra Club's mission to explore, enjoy, and protect the planet. Why not join them on a trip and find out for yourself? Go to vividlife.me for more details on how to book your next trip.